Hello everybody, this is ChibiJC of YouTube. I know I don't sound as energetic as how I usually am in my videos, but I'm just tired, but I want to get this out as soon as I can. And plus, I am recording this in the middle of the day rather than the night, where I am more free to speak loudly. Anyways, what sparked this video is the fact that I had a conversation with a friend of mine who usually does more animation stuff, and well, usually do shit in a visual novel style format. And if you know me, you know that I do things in the visual novel style format possibly since 2014. If you know me by my recent works, you know that I've done works such as Nemomiya the Chaotic Hero and 7 Guidances to Visual Safety. So you're probably wondering to yourself, what inspired me to do this format to begin with? Well, it all started during the earlier parts of 2014. And when I mean earlier parts, I mean January through March of 2014. I was making sprites for this one character of mine. Her name is Makoko. Some of you might be familiar with this character given my past. And believe it or not, Makoko was just actually a test character when making sprites. And usually that sprite had it all. Facial expressions when it comes to changing the eyes, mouth, and the eyebrows. The only thing that kinda still stayed intact is the nose and the rest of the sprite. Makoko was basically a test character, so at the time I did put her aside in favor of a few other characters. A lot of which kind of need some redesigning. And believe it or not, those characters were for a proper visual novel. Like, I was actually coding for it and shit. There were a couple of issues with what I was doing around that point. First of all, I was making the story as I was coding, which was probably not a good thing to do when making a visual novel. Learning what I have learned during the days of Culinary Kakoi and Satay Sugoi, it's best to put your story in a separate doc rather than like just coding it in already when it comes to making a visual novel. Also, and this is kind of the sad part of the story, so be prepared to like laugh at me in this case. During that point, I have an attention span of a goldfish and then a patience of a fucking hyena on caffeine. And due to that visual novel never really gotten through to being finished. Unfortunate. However, around the same point, it was around the same time I was kind of watching some fanime reviews. By, well, the old fanime reviews channel, before it kinda ceased to be. And then I saw the top 5 list of top 5 Tokyo Mew Mew fanimes, and, well, I saw that one part where it mentions Ichigo's Adventures, which is sort of in an RPG style type of deal. Although, some sprites do kind of remind me that's something that's akin to a visual novel. And that's what got the actual gears running in my brain as soon as some oiling was happening. Meaning that this is one of the things that pretty much sparked the idea of making a visual novel style series. Well, at the time I usually call it the visual novel style fanime, but for the sake of semantics, visual novel style series. And after I kind of failed with making Penalty All About into a webcomic, I decided to make it into a visual novel style series. It was also around the same time when Fanime Update was booming, so the fact that I kind of referred to my work as a fanime around that point, it was kind of a good time to do so. Of course, with Penalty All About, I did have a lot of VA issues, which is can of worms for another therapy session. Which led me to repurpose Makoko and made Carrot Fluffs. And the rest is history. Now with that little history lesson out of the way, you're probably wondering why I still stuck with that style for so long. There are a couple of reasons of why I even stuck with this format as long as I did. First off, it's the more efficient way for me to tell a story. Like, I have stuck with this format for so long that it's just become very efficient for me at this point. Especially if I want to tell like very silly stories like with Nemomiya the Chaotic Hero. The second reason is because of the fact that, well, it can require voice acting. Rather I voice every single character myself, have my friends to voice the characters, or have proper VAs to voice the characters is totally up to whether I have trust issues or really just down to my prerogative. When it comes to series that dealt with the first situation, there are two series that actually dealt with that, but they have two completely different reasons. When it came to Sour Candy-Filled Donuts, I was having complete trust issues of who would voice my characters, given the fact that I was dealing with how much I've been waiting for people to turn in their lines for Penalty All About. And even a bit of Carrot Fluffs, if I'm honest. Like, I was trusting myself and myself alone when it came to Sour Candy-Filled Donuts, and I didn't really trust anyone to voice any of the characters around that point because of what happened with Penalty All About and with Carrot Fluffs. And when it came to Nemomia the Chaotic Hero, there is a bit of a different reason behind that. See, while there is the same thing of, like, trusting myself when it came to voicing the characters, there comes a point where it was just like, if Sour Candy-Filled Donuts was successful, then maybe it could be the same with Nemomia. And well, Nemomia was a bit successful since it reached its finale. Anyways, I've rambled on about this for quite a bit, so I'm just gonna get on to the next and possibly final reason. Now, while it is more logical to make a proper visual novel, I'm just more used to video editing than coding, if I'm being for real. Like, thing is with me is that I've been editing videos since the early 2010s, so really I thought that that's the route that makes sense for me. Sure, I didn't upgrade to a proper video software until like 2016, whereas I kinda stuck with Windows Movie Maker for quite a while. Now, it's not to say that I wouldn't want to do a fully animated series, cause I kinda want to in a way. And there's a couple of reasons for that, though there's only two. One, just seeing my characters move is actually a little bit satisfying. And two, there are some stories that I have that are probably more efficient for animation than for doing things in the visual novel style format. However, there is some reasons of why I really can't at the moment. Number one, I have a high tendency to put myself down. It's not really a healthy mindset to put yourself in, but it's something that I have a habit of doing for the past few years that I probably need to get out of. And number two, life at home is not really helping a bit. I'm gonna be real, it sucks here. There was originally a third reason, but that kinda got resolved, thank God. One thing that is boosting up my confidence is what people say whenever I decided to do things in the visual novel style format. Friends who animate tend to say that I'm actually making the smart move of doing things in the visual novel style format. Like, they kinda said that I kinda dodged a bullet when it comes to, like, doing things that's mostly in a visual novel style format. Cause let's be quite frank, animation is not as easy as we initially thought it would be. And making a fully animated series, that already sounds like death. Heck, a friend of mine says that they'd rather make short films rather than an animated series. So I think it's probably best for me to ask this. Would I recommend making things in the visual novel style format? And honestly, it really depends on the person and the situation that they're in. If you're on a phone or a mobile tablet, then it's not really recommended, if I'm honest. I have one friend who tried to make a series in the visual novel style format while she was on her phone, and she hated it so much. I'd say wait until you get your own computer if you want to do something like this. If you own a computer, then it is recommended if you truly want to go with this style. It depends on your reasoning. Like, if you have a multitude of projects, and you have like a bigger project in the works, but you want to take a break from it and want to work on something small, then a visual novel style series would be feasible for that. And it's also recommended if you want voice acting in your projects, but don't have enough patience for either coding or animation. Of course, people might say, you could go for motion comics, but this format is also for people who don't even have the patience for that either. I.e., people like myself. Well, when it comes to multiple stories, I'll probably make one story with that format. However, if you don't really care for voice acting that much and you just want to pump out a thing, then webcomics might do for you. Or web novels that do have pictures in them. Like, can we sometimes have that format too? Kindly thanks. Although there's one thing I do kind of want to say in regards to visual novel style format and animation. Honestly, the two don't have to be separate. Like, if you want to make an action series that's in a visual novel style format, but also you want to animate for it, why not both? Like, the action scenes are basically the scenes where you could flex your animation on. Whereas the more calm scenes, like, I don't know, slice of life scenes, are for the visual novel style format portion of it. And really, that's what had 7 Guidances stand out for me, because it had action scenes that are animated. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing a bit of both, just, figure out where things go, where they need to go. And honestly, that's all I got to say. Maybe one of these days I'll remake the video that I did for Fanime Zone, where I talk about how to make a series in a visual novel style format. Because while there are some good points within that video, I feel like I kinda want to remake it in the sense of trying to modernize it. Anyways, that's all I gotta say, and I hope you enjoyed that little history lesson in the beginning, as well as, knowing about my reasonings for everything. And with that, this is Chibijusi of YouTube signing out. Goodbye!